You can't post one video a week after quitting your job. You don't seem to like social media. Maybe YouTube is not the right thing for you. Of course, YouTube is the right thing for me. My life is changed by YouTube. Not when I blew up a few months ago or when I quit my job to do YouTube full-time when I was making no money from it. It changed my life when I was posting into the void for 3 years. And when I realized I would keep doing it until my fingers are frozen with arthritis in my 80s, even though I'll probably never get 1 million subscribers. And I thought that's important for you to know, because if you're scared to start YouTube or if you just got started and are feeling a little disheartened by the numbers, YouTube has changed my life in so many ways, way beyond the numbers, even as a very awkward introverted person. And I could change yours too. If you're new here, hi, my name is Evelyn. I started YouTube at the end of 2019 when I was working in Chicago as a tech consultant. In 2020, I came back to China for a vacation, but COVID hit and I got stuck here and never got to go back. But I kept documenting my life, making vlogs about my life in China, and just navigating my 20s, feeling lost and confused in life, which led to me quitting my job in tech last year when I had 7,000 subscribers and made $30 a month from YouTube, which is a very different journey from a lot of YouTubers who quit their full-time jobs because their channels reached a certain size and the ROI on their time working on that full-time job no longer makes sense. My YouTube journey is also very different from the very lucky people who have videos blow up out of nowhere, because I've had to earn every single one of my 7,000 subscribers at that point with blood and sweat, with no help from the algorithm whatsoever. Did I resent that? Yes. I felt unfair when I poured 20, 30, 50 hours into every single video and obsess over every single title and thumbnail and intro, and it never gets picked up by the algorithm. And I see these videos that have like hundreds and thousands of views that I think genuinely are not as good as mine. It feels good to say that out loud. Until one day, one of my videos finally blew up. I was looking at the numbers go up and I was like, that's what it feels like. I made it. Except I actually didn't, and I'm now back at making 2 figures on AdSense, which I really should be very worried about. But strangely enough, I feel okay about that. I guess my point of sharing this with you is if YouTube is what you want to do, or if it's anything you genuinely love, art, writing a novel, music, but it's not successful by the numbers, don't give up. We're playing the long game. When I was pouring hours and hours into making videos that got no views, I wouldn't have known how grateful I'd be 4 years later to myself then for investing the effort into getting better at making videos. I wouldn't have known then how good it feels now to look back at my channel and be like, wow, I've made 89 videos. Compounding doesn't just work in the investment market. And without numbers, it's just so easy to miss that. I know so many people in real life who started YouTube around the same time I did and gave up. And now I get to not look back and regret and be like, wow, if I had kept going, maybe YouTube would have worked out for me too. It's really difficult for us to think about our present efforts from the perspective of the future. And that makes us really susceptible to being distracted and discouraged by the numbers. Numbers don't matter. Putting sustained efforts into things that matter to you does. It's funny looking back at this now, but in my first year of doing YouTube, I was constantly frustrated at myself for not having 1 million subscribers. I would go on other people's YouTube channel and be like, oh, this person has made 100 videos, but they've only got 10,000 subscribers. What a failure. Or this person's got 4 million subscribers, but they've only made 30 videos. I'm such a failure. if you find yourself going down that train of thought, remember, like, that person who has 4 million subscribers might already be famous on TikTok or something. And the person who has 10,000 subscribers might have a large portion of their audience who watch every single one of their videos, which is a great opportunity for you if you still have a small audience to be friends with your viewers, reply to all the comments, and hang out on Instagram, especially if you're still a little unsure about what your brand is, because those people who believe in you when you have no following see something in you that you might not even see in yourself. And those are your unfair advantages as a YouTuber. I struggled a lot in my early years of YouTube to find my niche, which I think is the intersection between what people want to see and what I enjoy making. I think half of that comes from not really knowing what I want to make, which took a while to figure out. And the other half, which I didn't realize until much later, comes from the lack of feedback. I watch so many YouTube advice videos that say, reply to all the comments, which I still try to do now. But one thing I wish I had started doing earlier is, instead of saying a superficial thank you, I would actually have conversations with you guys in the comments. As a result, I think you guys are a little more open to sharing with me, which I'm very, very grateful for. And actually, a lot of the conversations we have in the comments become my ideas for later videos. The reason I chose this, now I realize, like, really loud and noisy and inconvenient place to film is a couple of days ago when I was walking on this bridge. I was thinking, actually, it's such a privilege to have honest and vulnerable conversations with you guys online. And that's an advantage of having still a relatively small audience, because I see a lot of bigger YouTubers like Emma Chamberlain, Best Dressed, they have to be very careful about what they say. So I learned to be very grateful for having a small and tight community where I still can be relatively free to say what I want to say. If you have a smaller channel, the size of your community is actually a superpower that allows you to be more vulnerable with your audience. Being vulnerable is a scary thing to do online, especially as an introvert. You guys love my videos for being honest and I guess relatable, but social media is actually a really confusing thing for me because I get so nervous in front of the camera and I don't like taking photos for myself or of myself. There was a comment on one of my videos once that says, you can't post one video a week after quitting your job. You don't seem to like social media. Maybe YouTube is not the right thing for you. I think they deleted the comment later on, but I thought about that for a really long time. Why do I even want to be a YouTuber? And in particular, make the style of videos that require me to be extremely vulnerable in front of a camera. And it all just made sense after I came out of therapy one day when I realized actually all I ever wanted as a child was to be seen and to be loved. But I grew up in an environment, Asian household, where I've received zero emotional validation whatsoever. So when you guys comment that you relate to something in my videos, I feel seen. I feel validated and not alone. So, of course, YouTube is the right thing for me. We're in a loneliness epidemic, and a lot of us introverts here feel like misfits. But we are not. If a bunch of misfits found each other through YouTube and realized we struggle with the same things, every video you put out is like a little searchlight looking for people on the same wavelength. I'm here, see me, and we're both not alone. One very particular challenge though about making videos as an introvert, it's so hard to talk in front of the camera, and my trick to get around that is I script every single video. I don't always go with my script, but having one really helps me not like go blank and freeze in front of the camera. And you do get better with time. But this year, I want to try and go off script more because I think that's kind of taking vulnerability to another level, showing you guys whatever's on my mind at the moment. You might not like it, but I might end up realizing that people can like me just as I am. Another surprising way YouTube changed my life is it brought my struggles with attention into the spotlight. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always struggled with like sitting down and working for a long period of time. I always miss deadlines. I'm constantly late, and it's impossible for me to like work on super detail-oriented things. When I started working after college, my entire job was literally keeping track of all the loose ends on a very large technology project and making PowerPoints and spreadsheets and like PRDs with no typos or misalignments, and it killed me. But it also forced me to adopt this facade of being super organized and on top of things, which was actually maintained by a ridiculous amount of cognitive resources. And that probably explains why I always feel so drained after a workday. But when I started YouTube, little did I know I was again challenged with big projects that require a lot of organization and planning and detail-oriented editing work. To find a cure, I have taken so many classes online on productivity, time management. I've watched all of Ali Abdaal's classes on Skillshare, and the most helpful one I've found so far was how to organize your workflow to maximize productivity. Because for YouTube, it's just so important to find a workflow that works for you. And I'm super excited to say, since I've actually used Skillshare for a very long time, that they're actually sponsoring today's video. Skillshare is an online learning community for creatives, and it's helped me so much on my YouTube journey. I learned how to edit, how to create thumbnails on Procreate. I'm currently learning how to organize my day on Notion. If you're just getting started on YouTube, they have these learning paths where they pick a few classes that build upon each other to help you quickly learn a new skill. And there's one called How to Grow Your First YouTube Channel that is really great. I personally love learning on Skillshare because it's a really easy way to take a little bit of time each week to learn a new creative skill. If you want to try out Skillshare, they actually gave me a link in the descriptions. The first 500 people to use my link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So yeah, back to the big projects and minor details that I have to manage for YouTube, which is very much against my nature. I find it to be a lot easier to actually do that for YouTube than it is for any of my corporate jobs, because YouTube is something that I genuinely love to do. And that's when I realized my ability to focus is actually hugely dependent on whether I care about the thing I'm doing or not, which is a hallmark characteristic of ADHD. I'm not so hung up on the labels anymore, but lately I've been thinking, because this is just how my attention works, perhaps what works better for me is just to find the things that I really love to do, that are just easy to focus on, so that I don't have to spend the majority of my bandwidth to force myself to do work. I don't know, maybe time management is not about forcing yourself to work hard and produce more, but rather to invest your attentional resources in things that truly matter to you. So I've been learning to let my intuitions guide me instead of forcing myself to make one video a week and blaming myself when I don't achieve that goal, which I never have in my 4 years on YouTube. Instead, I'm spending more time exploring what I genuinely want to make and what I want to share with you guys from the bottom of my heart. And if there's a video that I want to make badly enough, it'll come together really quickly. And honestly, that is how I made the video that ended up blowing up. I learned a new phrase recently called self-compassion, which means treating ourselves with kindness and understanding as if we would treat a friend who failed or made a mistake. It's taken me a long time to process that idea, because being harsh and critical on myself is the only way I've ever known how to be. And I have kind of attributed everything I have been able to achieve so far to my ability to always find fault in myself so I can do better next time, or force myself to work so that I can outperform people who are out there having fun. But seeing that not work for YouTube has made me realize maybe my entire approach to life is misguided. Maybe trusting my intuitions and letting myself do what I genuinely want to do is the secret to success. Or at least it leads to happiness along the way. And now I can say, I think that is a good enough goal in itself. Please like this video if you liked it, so the algorithm likes me again, and subscribe if you wanna see more videos from me. I'll see you next time. Bye!